Greetings and welcome to Flesh Wound Horror. I'm Flesh Wound Dan, joined as always by producer Todd. Todd, how are you doing tonight?
Chilling. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, I've been really busy with Halloween season, but eager to talk some visual vengeance. I'm always really eager in between their releases, which don't come often enough for me because uh, such an eclectic lineup of films that they've already put out, and no matter what, they always slay the packaging, the extras, all the bells and whistles that come with it. So yeah, there's just so much I still want to see from them. I wish I was just like put stuff out every 2 weeks.
I wish we were seeing them as you were talking about it.
Well, of course I'm going to show you, Todd. Be patient, Todd. Slow burn, Todd. Slow burn. The first one that we are going to talk about tonight, Todd, see, I'm building anticipation, is Kung Fu Rascals. And I'll talk about it here in a second, but just so you get a look at that beautiful, beautiful cover art and the inner art there as well. Always beautiful.
And it still comes with the usual swag inside?
It does indeed, all the stickers. And we'll run that down. We'll talk about the movies and we'll talk about the extras or a little bit as we go along. But this film from 1992 and director Steve Wang, and we'll talk about him. When their village is threatened by an ancient dark lord known as the Bamboo Man, a master thief and his two sidekicks steal a map and set off on a quest to find the only superpower in the land big enough to save their home and rid the world of evil. But these rascals will have to kick, punch, and fart their way through every ninja, monster, mutant in sight before they can restore peace. Okay, so Steve Wang, if you're not familiar, he did like suits for the Predator or for Predator. He also did the Guyver movies. But one thing in particular that I always loved from him is Drive with Mark Dacascos, Kadeem Hardison, and Brittany Murphy in an early role. It still remains one of the best direct to video action movies ever. Like, it is insanely impressive, and Steve Wang has done great effects work. He's directed some fantastic stuff, and that dude's a fucking legend. Monster Squad as well. I mean, he's been around. So Kung Fu Rascals is a movie that is kind of an homage to a little bit of everything. The main villain kind of looks like the Boogeyman from WWE, which I think is cool. We got frogmen, pigmen, all sort. It's PG-13, I believe, was the original rating for it, and it's very much a kids' film. There's nothing too extreme here, beyond maybe some scary creatures, but I don't think I'd be out of line calling it a kids' film. And it's something that, like, from Hong Kong cinema to the Daimaijin films, all of that is just a love letter to in this film. Now, a lot of the humor very sophomoric. There's a lot of piss jokes, including one that I thought was actually really funny, where he pisses on a ninja that's trying to ambush him. And yeah, there's a little bit of, I guess, un-PC stuff in there too, with a very flamboyant henchman. So there's some humor that may not have aged well for some of you guys out there, but I really like this one. Now, I know this is not typically up your alley, Todd, but basic thoughts. I mean, did you at least appreciate how ambitious this was? Because this is not a big budget movie. It was shot on 8mm, put on 35, and I always kind of liked it. even when I was younger, I believe, and we'll talk about some of the extras, but Film Threat distributed it back in the day. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I mean, if you grew up either on the Dimogen films, Sam,
Jesus, you asked me a question. Now you're still talking. I'm confused.
well, I know. Well, I was just yeah. What did you think, Ted?
Well, you asked me, then you started talking another 20 minutes. What the hell, Dan?
I'm building it up because I think you're going to say something epic. Go for it, Ted.
Well, now you've done the opposite. Well, you let up with it with normally not my thing. One of the things you said was basically, that you grew up with this one. See, I didn't, so this is like my first time. So yeah, it's something that I feel like I would have had to grown with to enjoy it as much. For what it was cool. Like, I mean, it's not something I'm going to revisit, but it was a cool project that they did on a super low budget. Just not really my genre. So
Feel like Kruger would like this one.
I think you'd have a better shot with Pugs. I think he would.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, he
Pugs
might
is the Power Rangers guy, though. See,
yeah, that's true. That's true. I can see that. This predates, but
yeah,
in that,
so
it's there's something too. I just thought the chemistry with the actors, which of course Steve Wang also stars in this one, is Chen Chow Mein. And like I said, very goofy humor. Troy Froman plays Laozi, and Johnny Psycho is Repo, and there you got characters like Buffoon, and, and it's very goofy, but I appreciated it, looking back through the eyes of a kid. And the kaiju stuff towards the end, now that is very ambitious. This is by no means a cheap movie. You can tell you had a really talented guy who already had experience.
I don't know if I'd say it's not a cheap. It's a cheap movie, but it's not an unloved movie. There was a lot of heart put into it.
Yeah, it's ambitious and it works, and that's kind of going to be a theme today: ambition with these movies. But I thought the Titan kaiju battle, good. Trying to remember their name, Neo Titan. Sorry, there you go. I thought that all looked fantastic. I like the world that they created. I think this is a lot better than modern kid stuff. Of course, I'm going to be biased because I was a kid at the time that it came out, but I think it'll play well. I don't know, like what do you think? Like your kid would think of this? Like, just you don't think it would hit?
No, I think he'd be up in 2 seconds.
Okay, too retro. I get that. But I don't know. I still like it. I think it holds up. I think the Misha at the end, because there is kind of a sequel tease, still looks really good. And it feels like a movie.
Yeah, cool. It was cool for what it was. Good accomplishment. I'm glad I got to see it. Just, not when it's going to be in a regular rotation.
Not in the regular rotation. I get that. So let's talk a little bit about the extras, because here's the thing about this. Whatever you think of Kung Fu Rascals, opinions may vary about the movie, but this fucking release is as good as any single movie release that came out this year on physical media, Blu-ray, 4K, whatever. They stack the shit out of this. Steve Wang is all over it. We got the reunion of the three Rascals, which is 16 minutes and reunites the three main actors. A lot of fun. Troy Froman's very funny. I think he's actually got his own YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken. Really funny, talented guy. One that I really liked, because distribution at this time was interesting, and Chris Gore has an interview about distributing this on VHS through Film Threat magazine, and he talks a little bit about that process and how ambitious this movie was for being shot on Super 8. Apparently, this was for a long time. This and Necromantic were his hot sellers. I don't know if you were a Film Threat magazine guy or not, but
I knew it. I wasn't a regular. I'd pick it up once in a while.
Yeah, and He kind of, again, the giant stone creatures and being blown away by that. Obviously, this was much more ambitious than he was necessarily used to being to distributing. And he's a legit fan of this one too. It's a shorter interview at 11 minutes. I could have listened to him longer, but he kind of compares like being really disappointed with this not getting a sequel. And I relate to him because the other thing he referenced is Sword and the Sorcerer, which unfortunately kind of did, but that's for another story, for another show. We'll dive into Sword and the Sorcerer because that one I really grew up on. So we also get a Steve Wang and Les Claypool interview. Claypool played the villain. That runs 10 minutes. We get the making of Kung Fu Rascals, which is, this one is a full, trying to get the time code here. It's an hour and 52 minutes making of documentary that dives into anything you could humanly want to know about this movie, from the original short to the decision for Super 8. He runs down a lot of his influences, like Valley of the Guanjis, another one, the Sinbad movies, the Daimajin movies in particular, which I mentioned. And also just like some of the fight choreography, actually kind of beating the shit out of each other at times. There's also 2 commentary tracks. There is the commentary track with Steve Wang, Johnny Psycho, Troy Froman, the composer, and Les Claypool, and Ted Smith, which, again, great commentary. Second commentary, which is a fan commentary from the super fans Justin Declo and Dylan Chung, and this one's a lot of fun. I'd actually say it was my favorite of the 2 commentaries. They talk kids entertainment at the time versus now. You know, everything in here from Power Rangers to Kurosawa to the Canon Ninja films, just everything. They also bring up Steve Wang's Drive, which I referenced earlier, which is just such a fantastic fucking movie. And the Journey to the West homages in this. It's a good listen. So I think I ran down most of the commentaries. Like I said, it comes with the usual bells and whistles, including the poster, the stickers, all of that cool stuff, the booklet. And you saw the art, but I'll show off the mini poster here, at least, if I can open it. Trying to be careful here, preserve it, but all of these extras. And again, the thing about Visual Vengeance, we talk all the time about how expensive releases are getting. Visual Vengeance is very reasonably priced, and you're getting all this cool shit. So normally review the movie first, which I'll get to, or rate the movie first. This package is a 5. Again, this is as good, if not better, if not the release of the year, as far as just how well the special features are put together. And yeah, and reasonably priced too. So I love seeing more of that. I wish we would get more stuff from Visual Vengeance more often. But the movie itself, for me, I'm a 3.5. Again, it is a kids film. It's not going to be for everybody, but it holds up for me. If I had kids, I would show them this movie and hope they love it as much as I do. What about you, Todd?
Yeah, I'm a 2.5. It's in the middle for me. I kind of am averaging my, if I would have saw it younger, I think I would have got more out of it. But
probably, yeah.
It's still a cool accomplishment, and I do recommend checking it out if you're a fan of filmmaking, low budget and stuff. So,
absolutely. All right. So, moving on to our second film of the evening, which was shot in 1998, but technically released in 2003. So, thus a 2003 movie, Despiser. Show you the art here. Let's get a look at the package, and we'll run it all down for you. I would have liked, yeah, and then I probably should show this too. Reversible art. And actually, there is, I'm a little surprised we didn't get the DVD and VHS art on this one, because it was quite eye-catching back in the day if you picked it up at either Hollywood Video or Blockbuster or wherever. But I love the new art too, so that works. All right, so Despiser. After losing his job and his wife, Gordon crashes his car and lands in purgatory, where he's attacked by fanatics and enslaved souls. He's soon saved by a quirky band of freedom fighters from different historical eras, all of whom died in noble sacrifice. Reluctantly joining their cause, Gordon embarks on a wild adventure through surreal, hellish landscapes to battle the Despiser, a malevolent ruler of the realm. Facing shifting realities, monstrous creatures, and intense car chases over lava oceans, their journey leads to the ultimate showdown to save all humanity. All right, so like I said, this one was shot in '98, so kind of predates The Matrix. And as far first things first with this one, as far as the effects go, I grew up at a time when, you would see something like Albert Pune's Arcade or Lawnmower Man, of course, a bigger movie. And some of this like VR, like early pre CGI stuff was like really cool. And I can see a lot of people viewing it now through a 2024 lens that
That's
aren't
gonna
going to
be
go with
yeah.
it. But at the same time, one thing that works for this film, in my opinion, is it is kind of taking place in this sort of other world, their version of purgatory.
I
And,
think there's also a bit of nostalgia for us for that era of
mhm.
effects. Like, I mean, we don't long for them, but like seeing them again, it's like, oh yeah, it was kind of a fun time. It was new stuff. It was different. It wasn't, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, no, I agree, and I don't know how it will play. It might play fairly well too. I mean, it's hard to say with some people, but it wasn't. It's like it's what you had at the time, and I think it works for it, being that he dies and he's going to this other place where who's to say what that would look like. This movie has a ton of ambition and some really good ideas. That's what for me sets this one apart from the pack back in the day, because you could even argue between 98 and 2003 that this was certainly dated for a lot of people in terms of the effects, but it allows them to tell a much more ambitious story. Most of what I describe, you see all this in the movie: the car chases, the creatures, and you certainly couldn't have done that with more traditional CG or sets or anything.
right.
So I didn't mind it. And it what they do with Purgatory, particularly another element that's I won't spoil, I think is incredibly original and creative. So from the storyline standpoint, I think this one really stands out. And I think this was shot like $35,000 budget, roughly. I think it's impressive what they were able to do. I think the acting, for the most part, pretty good. Some better than others. Mark Redfield, who stars in it, you might recognize him. He was in Curse of the Screaming Dead. He was in Chainsaw Sally, the movie, Dark and Stormy Night, among many, many other things. And if I didn't mention, Philip Cook directed this one. He kind of he was somebody that was always on my radar because he did a lot of very ambitious movies in terms of Invaders and in terms of some of the effects work at the time. And you're right. I think we have the nostalgia for it, but this one I don't know. I'm kind of curious to hear from some people who are just seeing it for the first time and how it plays for them. But I don't mind telling an ambitious story with some dated effects, like
I think that is one thing that's going to hold some people back, though.
yeah,
I do.
maybe this movie doesn't exist though, trying to shoot it with like
No,
modern.
I get that, but but I just don't. I think some people are gonna. It's gonna turn them off too.
Mm.
But that's unfortunate. I mean, it's still a cool film,
It's a very cool film. And
and and for me, those old effects had some charm to them. But I think that's going to be a deterrent for some.
yeah, if you do remember Arcade and Lawnmower Man, and although that was a Hollywood movie, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that look at Lawnmower Man right now at the effects and think like, what's so special about that? But back then that was mind blowing to me.
Arcade, I still think the original effects look better. I like the look of them better.
We'll have to revisit that one at some point. I think that'd be fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do too. I do too. I don't like that stuff being messed with. But yeah, I do think this one again kind of stands out from the pack. I remember watching it back then, and even back then, some people that I knew saw it were kind of mixed, but I enjoyed it. And it doesn't look like anything else that was coming out in 2003, because that's when I saw it. It didn't feel like just every other direct to video movie of the time, which I thought was cool. And I think it's a really good horror sci-fi movie. It does have one kind of what the fuck thing, and that's the demonic troll dolls that are in the movie, which it's not a cheesy or goofy movie, but that was like the one like what the fuck am I watching kind of thing. Uh, but it still made me laugh, and yeah, it holds up. I'm These are two movies that I'll be honest, and Visual Vengeance has had some others like this where you're gonna absolutely love them or you're gonna absolutely hate them. I don't know where you're gonna fall, so I'm really curious to get different opinions in the comments. But once again, they go all out on the extras on this. We get a 2023 interview with writer director with the direct actor Mark Hyde that runs 15 minutes, and with the director and Mark Hyde. Sorry, I'm crisscrossing, and that runs 15 minutes. They talk about that early green screen VR style movie before 300, Sin City, and all these different things came out, and kind of the unique storyline, which again I'm not going to spoil because I think there's a good appeal to science fiction fans as well with this one. The director tells a funny story about throwing away like these massive boxes of VHS vert tapes that he had for Despiser, and having no clue that that was a collectible now. And I guess that particular VHS goes for quite a bit. And he also goes down some of the history about this being developed as a first-person shooter video game right now, which I can actually see. You could remake this as a big budget Hollywood movie for sure. And also, apparently, we have Despiser action figures coming soon. So keep your eyes out. There's also a retro making of Despiser that runs 16 minutes, which, if memory serves, was on the old DVD. There's a commentary with the director and the actors. And he talks about like how he hopes and believes the otherworldly look kind of works with these digital effects, the blue screen and live action stuff that they did. and some good history on this film. We also have a Despiser commentary with Sam Panico and of B&S About Movies, and Bill Van Ryn of Drive-In Asylum. And they also, again, run down the unique storyline and how this really stands out among others. The director's early effects work on Night Beast for Don Dollar, and that's also very, very informative. There's little things you can certainly pick at, like why does Purgatory have cars and machine guns and all this different stuff. But this is something I think is almost the ideas for me, the big imagination overcome the budget, and it's way too original. I don't think you could have pitched this to a major studio. Like it's almost a little bit too high concept for it to have been picked up by any kind of a major studio. So I'm gonna say it's my favorite, probably taking away the nostalgia factor of the two. I think it's my favorite of the two in 2024, just
I
because.
agree. For me, definitely.
Yeah, I figured for you. It just holds up. Do you have any thoughts on it, Todd, before we?
No, you nailed it. Let's rate it.
All right. So for me on the movie, I am a 3.5. That will vary though for a lot of people with this one. So
I'm
look at the trailer first.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm a 3 on this one. But I do think it's worth a watch. And I did notice both these films are now on Tubi.
Oh, okay, sweet. I wonder. Well, yeah, I assume they're the.
Yeah, they're the Visual Vengeance. So I saw the logo.
Awesome.
Right.
And yeah, as far as the extras and everything go, I'm a 5 again. That's kind of maybe a theme in general with Visual Vengeance, but yeah, Despiser, these tiny but ambitious little movies are the best as far as the packaging and everything and the extras as you're going to get on anything. So check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments, and be sure to check out all of our daily Halloween content that's been going up. Also as well, election night, be sure to pop in as we're reviewing some presidential slashers and some cool horror movies. So hang out with us on November 5th. Don't miss our big franchise show coming up, Todd. I don't know if we're allowed to talk.
Yeah,
about
that's
that
we're already locked in the date. Monday, November 4th is our Tox Avenger. Then you already mentioned the 5th is our big presidential election night special.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got some our post-Halloween, our Halloween hangover week. We got some stuff coming up.
There you go. And also patreon.com/fleshwound features. It only starts at just $1. And November, I think, is going to be the biggest month yet for exclusive and forever exclusive patron content.
You'll know why soon.
There you go. There you go. So on that note, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you back here next time.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
All right. Money's on the dresser. Good night.